Lighting for Profits, the #1 landscape lighting show in the world. Oh, yeah.
Welcome to Lighting for Profits.
All light.
Powered by Emery Allen.
Get rid of your excuses.
Your #1 source for all things landscape lighting.
That's where the magic can happen. You can really scale a business.
We really had to show up for each other.
From lighting design, install, sales, and marketing.
You're a scaredy cat salesman, Kurt.
We discuss everything you need to know to start and grow a successful landscape lighting business.
What do you think a hippo has to do with your business, Ryan?
Usually it's some weird childhood thing. Some bully kicked your butt.
I think the key factor here is trust.
Here is your host, Ryan Lee.
All light. Welcome to the #1 landscape lighting show in Houston, Texas. That's right. We are going to have an awesome show today. We got a good friend of mine, Steve Ram, coming to join us. And listen, if you're looking to start or grow a landscape lighting business, you're definitely in the right place. In fact, today we're going to be talking a lot more than landscape lighting. We're going to be getting into YouTube and content and real estate and all sorts of crazy stuff. So even if you're not trying to grow a lighting business, stick around. It's going to be a great show. Really excited for what we got lined up. We're definitely here to educate, to motivate, to help you dominate. So I want to thank you guys for your support. Really appreciate it. This show brings so much joy to me. And I love when I travel around, I meet so many people that are like, man, I've been listening to your show for a year or two or whatever. And like, it's awesome. So I really appreciate you guys. Thanks for being here. Facebook user. If you want your name to appear, you have to do some weird stuff like go to StreamYard.com/Facebook or just follow me on my Facebook profile, Ryan Lee. But also still requesting reviews. We've gotten quite a few. So thank you guys for those of you that have done it, but still accepting reviews on Apple. We prefer 5 stars, but at this point, I guess we'll take whatever. And those of you that have written reviews, that's even better. And we're starting to post those on social media. So thank you guys. And, you don't really, it's hard to get reviews unless you ask. So I'm just asking. And if you're bored, then just go do it. And even if you're not bored, just do it. So again, this week, in just a few minutes, we're going to have Steve Ram on. And if you've ever wondered like how to build better content on YouTube, if you've ever wondered how to build passive income, which means like you make money without like putting inputs and working. It's not like an hourly wage. You can make money without actually concentrating on something. This is the show for you. And he's coming on in just a few minutes. So hey, what's the best way to stand out of the crowd? Well, being different. So we got some different music. Set yourself apart from others in the lighting industry and impress your clients by installing Emery Allen lamps on your next project. You'll discover a higher level of quality across the board, from the lamps themselves to the top tier customer support you can expect to get if you have any issues or questions. Right now is the best time to make the switch. So just email tomg@emeryallen.com. Remember, it's tomg@emeryallen.com. That's Tom Garber. Tom G his email is tomg@emeryallen.com. Don't go to their website. Just email tomg@emeryallen.com. I'm telling you why. He'll hook you up with the discounted contractor price. Just mention you heard about him here on Lighting for Profits, and he'll hook you up. So I actually just placed an Emery Allen order. I got a buddy of mine who lives here nearby, and I'm going to be helping him out with his lighting at his house. And I'm going to make a YouTube video. It's going to be cool. I'm going to become a YouTuber like Steve Ram, you guys. It's going to be cool. So I'm hoping to learn some tips today so I can implement those in a few weeks and put out some awesome content for you guys. Real quick, before we have Steve on, earlier today, I posted a quote from Thomas Jefferson. Yes, thank you, Tom Garber, for the order. I'm excited to do the single source lamps from Emery Allen. The quote that I posted was, if you want something you've never had, you have to do something you've never done. So, man, it's just like so true. Think about it, right? And most of us have dreams, yet the dreams, dreams are something we don't have. So what did I just say? We have dreams, but dreams are something we don't have, because we don't have it because it's an ideal future state. We don't have it. That's why we dream for it, right? And the thing is about dreaming, like, it's easy to dream. You just do it. Boom, it's done. You just did it, right? You think about your dreams. What do you want in life? What do you want to do with your time? Who do you want to be around? Those are your dreams. But I love the quote because you have to do something you've never done. And this is why education, learning, experimenting is so important. And this really applies to all levels of business. So whether we're talking marketing, pricing, sales, installing, designing, products, customer service, recruiting, hiring, training, culture, finance, like all the things in business, right? And a lot of us are reluctant to change because we've either tried something and it didn't work, or we've been doing something long enough that it has worked. So, like, why would we change, right? Well, I would say the reason to change is because have you achieved your dreams? Like, are you living your ideal future state? Are you living your future self, right? And the truth is, a lot of business owners are suffering right now. I mean, really hurting. And whether it's a lack of leads or the inability to find and keep good team members, there's always something. And that's the thing about business. Like, when you achieve one level, there's always another level to achieve. And that's progress, right? The definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Have you been there? Maybe you're there now. I know I have, right? And that's frustrating, to say the least. In fact, it's insane. So what have you done in the past week that is different than anything you've ever tried? All right. And I believe that you should challenge yourself every day, every week, every month. So, whatever you can physically, mentally, spiritually do, like, what are you doing to get uncomfortable? And the most successful people that I've associated with, that I've followed, that I've been mentored by, they are very, well, I don't know if they're very, but they're comfortable being uncomfortable. Are you with me? Like, this is like a common occurrence for them. They're not stuck in the rut. They're not just being like, well, yeah, I'm successful, so I don't need to learn. Like, I already know what I'm doing. They're constantly evolving. They're not saying, well, I tried that before, it doesn't work. Because maybe you tried it 6 months ago, and maybe it didn't work 6 months ago, but maybe now it will. Or maybe you weren't exactly doing the right model, right? Now, I don't have all the answers, and I certainly don't know everything, but I have discovered some pretty awesome methods and systems to help business owners make a lot more money in a short period of time. And the goal behind that is to be able to afford to build your dream business, right? Last week, I spoke at the Lumion Customer Summit, which was an awesome opportunity. I had to be there. And I had a couple opportunities to address the attendees. And I talked a little bit about leverage. And here's the thing. Most people are making it way more difficult than it needs to be. And when I say most people, I also include myself. Okay. I'm guilty of all the stuff that I talk about. And here's the cool thing about leverage. So leverage, this is my definition. I should have looked it up. I forgot to Google it first. But my definition of leverage is minimize the inputs while maximizing the outputs. Okay. And we'll probably talk about leverage with Steve. Like, he's leveraged his time with the things that he's built today. And that's what it's all about. Okay. Is leverage. Okay. If you're a one-man operation and you charge $125 an hour, let's say, and you work 40 hours per week, you're going to make about $250,000 in a year. If you work more, you'll make more. If you work less, you'll make less. And that's not bad. I mean, $250,000 a year for 40 hours a week sounds like a pretty good gig. But the problem is there's no leverage. If you don't work, or you work less, you make less. If you want to make more, you work more. You can't scale. And maybe you can scale. Maybe you can work 60 hours. Maybe you can work 80 hours. But like, at some point, you're going to be exhausted. It won't work. You can't continue that. Now, if you leverage your time, and you can leverage your time by hiring out the lower pay items to other people. Okay. So let's say the same example. Now you're still charging $125 an hour, but you pay someone $40 an hour to do the same thing. Okay. Now you're like, well, but now I'm only making $85 an hour. I need the $125, right? Well, true. So what do? You hire a second person and also charge $125 an hour for that person, pay them $40 an hour. So now you have the difference, which is what? 85 times 2 is 107. You're making $170 an hour. You're paying $80 an hour, right? So now you're making more money than you were. Instead of $125 an hour, you're making $170 an hour, and you're not the one doing it, right? Now, I don't want to say you're not the one doing anything, because you have to manage those people. You have to do other things to build your business, right? But this is how leverage works. you make more money, more output with less input. And you'll find this business is a giant math problem. And once you accept it and really kind of know the formula, you can solve the problem and you can win the game. Okay. So let's talk about $1 million math game, $1 million lighting business. Let's do this. Okay. What's up, Brian? Opportunity cost. I think I got to do another show on opportunity cost. So let's take the $1 million lighting business. I don't know what the actual average lighting job in the United States is, but I'm just going to make it up and say it's $5,000. And I know there's people that do jobs way bigger than that, but I just know there's a lot of small jobs out there too. And I truly believe that if you take the average landscape lighting job in the US, it's probably 5K. Doesn't really matter what it is. I'm just going to use that number as this example. So let's say your average job is 5K and you want to do $1 million. Well, you have to get 200 clients. 200 people give you $5,000. That's $1 million. Okay. So solve the problem. Okay. If you close 50% of your appointments, then that means you need 400 appointments, right? You get 400 appointments, you close 50%, you get 200 clients, they pay you $5,000, you made $1 million. Good job. That's assuming that you book 50% of your leads that you get to appointments. So that means you technically need 800 leads, because when those leads call in, you don't book all those to appointments. Let's say your booking rate is 50%, your closing rate is 50%. So you need 800 leads to get you 400 appointments to get you 200 clients at 5K. That's $1 million. Okay. That's one way of doing life. Now, if you want to make life easier, you can pull one lever. Okay. We're just going to do one at a time. Let's say you pull the pricing lever. Okay. I love talking pricing. Let's say you increase your average job to 10K instead of 5K. Here's what happens. The same formula. Now you've increased from 5K to just 10K. And now you only need 100 clients. Okay. 10,000 times 100 clients gets you $1 million. And that's not bad. That's half the clients that you needed before, right? And again, you're still closing rate. You didn't adjust that. You're still closing 50%. So now you only need 200 appointments instead of 400 appointments. And again, if you book 50% of your leads to appointments, you only need 400 leads. That's way better than 800 leads, right? Would you rather talk to 800 people or 400 people, right? And in this scenario, now you only need 400 leads to get 200 appointments to get 100 clients to give you $10,000. So which one works best for you? Would you rather be the one dealing with 800 leads or 400 leads to make the exact same amount of money, right? What's up, Daniel? Out there killing it, man. This guy's new and already getting jobs and lights in the ground. It's awesome. What's up, Kevin? Always good to see you. So we just pulled the pricing lever. Let's pull another one, targeting. Okay, targeting. I'm talking about marketing to the right person instead of just marketing to everybody. Let's now focus in and figure out who is our ideal client avatar. So we're going to go back to 5K. We're not going to adjust the pricing one yet because we're not confident with that. We don't know what we're doing, whatever it is. So 5 people, 200 clients. If you close 50%, you need 400 appointments. But let's say you target better, which means those leads that come in, you get better at your booking rate. And instead of only booking 50%, you book 80%. Now you only need 500 leads to get you 400 appointments to get you 200 clients. Okay. So now either way, you went from 800 leads to only 500 leads. You see, a lot of people think their problem is leads. And it's like, well, you don't need 800. You may not even need 500, right? You may need even less than that to get to $1 million. And then you work on your closing. That's a whole nother lever. So you have pricing, you have targeting, and marketing, you have closing. Like maybe you should work on your closing rate, right? And you're going to notice the same trend happens. You just adjust one thing and your output magnifies. Okay. This is magic, you guys. Here's when the beautiful, this is when I love business, you guys. This is the best part. When you don't just pull on one lever or two or three, you pull on all of them, right? And you realize, wait a minute, I'm going to narrow in my targeting so that I only have to get 500 leads. I'm going to book 80%, which means I'm going to get 400 appointments. And instead of closing 50%, I'm going to close 70%. So that makes you get 280 sales now instead of 200. And now they're all at $10,000 each. The math doesn't lie. $2.8 million, you guys. You take it from $1 million business to 2.8, pulling on very simple levers. You don't have to spend a lot of money to do this. Okay. And that is the idea of leverage. And you're not done, by the way. Like, there's other things you can adjust in there to maximize that. If you decide to increase your total, your average ticket to 20 grand, that's a $5.6 million business right there. Okay. So lots of different variables there. And I just want to encourage you to keep learning, to keep experimenting, to keep trying. Don't get stuck in a rut. Okay. I know it's easy to listen to things and try, just like try one thing one time. It doesn't work. Like, we have proven things that work inside our program. So if you want to schedule a free strategy session where we can work and identify what your levers are in your business, you'll get that for free at landscapelightingsecrets.com. So it doesn't have to be that hard, you guys. I want to encourage you to try new things. Okay. Experiment a little. Even if you think I've tried something, or you think, I've already got that thing figured out. Most people come to me and they're like, I'm good with sales. I'm good. And we show them actually how they're good, but they're not great. And we'll help them be great salespeople and close more deals than they even knew was possible with our systems and methods. And again, you just pull on one lever, that could mean the difference between 100,000 to 2.8 million. I mean, the numbers are staggering. So encourage you guys to get out there, try something new. And just to share that quote again, if you want something you never had, you have to do something you never done. So if you haven't reached out and joined Landscape Lighting Secrets, give it a try. See if it works for you. All right, guys, it's time. My favorite part of the show. Well, it's my second favorite part of the show. Sorry, Steve. I like giving money away too, which will come up later in our gift card giveaway, which we are doing today. We got a good question for that. But my second favorite time of the show is when we bring on our guests. So I think it's time. Let me know if you guys are here live and you have questions. Feel free to put them in the comments. But it's time to get our music coming on for our guest. What is up? Welcome to the show, Mr. Steve Ram.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Man, I'm stoked to have you on. I secretly am doing this because I want to get some information from you for my upcoming YouTube video.
Oh, awesome. Let's do it.
I love interesting people. And to me, you are interesting people. You've really got a lot of good things going for you. And it's kind of interesting because it's not just one thing. You've got like multiple sources of income that almost have nothing to do with each other. And that's like so fascinating to me. So I want to dig into that. And I guess with that, we'll get started. So in Houston, Texas, I guess just do it maybe a quick introduction of yourself and maybe, your background and how you got into entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Okay. So if you would have asked me like 10 years ago, Steve, were you planning on being a YouTuber or real estate investor or any of that stuff? No way. Like I was like, don't come from a background like that whatsoever. I think I'm like the majority of people. I pretty much was told, go to school, get good grades, go to college, go get a job. And that's exactly what I did. That was the best formula that, was provided to me. And then when I did that, I came to this epiphany that this is not what I thought it was going to be. And just for me, like one of the biggest things was freedom of time. Like I just didn't feel like I had the time freedom that I wanted, not to mention like the finances coming in. So I started seeking out like, I guess, other vehicles. And looking back, I realized where I was and not to downplay it. Like I was blessed in what I was doing. I, got a degree in landscape architecture. I got a job as an architect, environmental consultant. I was doing a lot of good stuff. But it just was like, if I had to say, if you're picking a vehicle to get to your destination, that was like walking. And then when I discovered real estate, YouTube, business, some of the other things that I didn't even know what I didn't even know. Well, when I started getting into that, then I realized, oh, dude, there's a whole nother vehicle. There's another path and you can fly. And so I just had to get the little bits of information for these things, put it together. But I realized like, I've got to find another way. So I sought out information, got some mentors, got a community around me. And I put it all together and then just things kind of came together through hard work.
Dude, that is so cool. I mean, I was just talking about leverage. That's what you did. It's like if we're going from Salt Lake to Houston, like I can get there. Like I don't need your help. I can just walk. But if you're like, dude, I've literally got a jet, just get on my jet. I'll fly you down. I'll be there in like a few hours, you know? And I feel like that's what the coaching that I've received, the programs that I'm in, we're in the same mastermind right now. That's exactly. It's like, I think I could figure this out. It just might take me a long time. Why
Yeah.
not just leverage someone else's knowledge to get there faster? So that's cool, man.
Yeah, that's it. That's actually one of the examples that one of my first mentors in real estate told me. He was like, you got a good job. He's like, that's great. And he was like, but if you and I were running a race, and he literally said, like, from Florida to California, he was like, you're walking. He was like, when you get into these other vehicles, he's like, you will fly. And he was like, that's why he said one of the biggest myths that hold us back is that if we work really, really hard and we're hard workers, that we're going to have success. And he was like, that is not the biggest determining factor. He was like, because if we're running a race and you're running with your feet as fast as you can and you're going really, really hard, he was like, well, I get on my phone, I buy a plane ticket, I fly to California. And he's like, I take it easy. I watch movies, I eat snacks. He's like, I worked way less hard than you did. He's like, but I still win the race. And he's like, because choosing the right vehicle and having, like you said, leveraging other people's vehicles as well, that is so much more significant than just working hard in your vehicle. He said, picking the right vehicle is a major component.
That is so huge. I'm so guilty of the working hard thing
Me
because
too.
it's just like, I say something like it's easy to work hard
Yeah.
because it is easier. It's like that's all we know. We didn't have the mentor. We didn't have that growing up. But then once you find out about these vehicles, you almost like kick yourself. Like, why am I doing that? There is an easier, faster way. That's way
Oh,
cool,
yeah.
man. So when did you when did you start your YouTube channel and how did you decide like I'm gonna be the news guy?
Yeah. So let's see here. So I started YouTube up about 4 years ago. And I did not know it was going to be what it is today. My original intention was, so I had started investing in real estate, and I had a deal that came across my way, and I actually went to that same guy, that mentor, and I let him know, like, hey, I got this deal, but I don't have enough time to get it done. And he was like, well, your real problem isn't time or money. Your problem is people don't know you. He was like, if people knew you more, if you had more exposure, he was like, this would not be an issue. You would have money and people, investors on the back burner ready to partner with you. He was like, so what you need to do is you need to get on YouTube and you need to start talking about your real estate deals, and that will attract people to you. So that way you've got things ready to roll. So that was my original intention. And my first videos were like, man, they were real estate videos and they were so bad. Like one of my first things is like, if somebody is worried about like, I don't know what to say or I don't know what to do, just do it. And don't delete your old videos. Look back and cringe, but then it'll be a testimony of how far you've come. So my original videos were about real estate investing, but then I think I started like August of 2019 when I really started hunkering down. And then when the pandemic hit, I think it was like March of 2020, I had maybe 1,000 subscribers just from consistently pumping out videos. And I realized like this devastating thing happened to the entire world. And I thought to myself, do people really need real estate videos right now? I was like thinking like, you know what, what can I do to help? It really hit me when I saw the unemployment rates where people, literally millions, were losing their job every single week. Because one of the things that pushed me into entrepreneurship was during the Great Recession, I lost everything. Like I lost my day job. I lost my place. I lost my car. I lost everything. I was wiped out. And so when the pandemic hit and I saw those unemployment rates, it just really like struck a chord with me. And I thought, how can I help? And so for me, it was, I can help with my channel giving information. I was like, I can at least reach 1,000 people. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to pivot a little bit. And I shifted into congressional updates, what's happening, pandemic updates. Stimulus was like big, and I did a video and it just popped. Like I never seen views like that before. And then I just started rolling with it, and it just kept growing. And so then I kind of pivoted into like news updates, and it just grew from there. So it was not planned, it was not intentional. It was about 4 years ago, and like I said, it was like end of 2019, beginning of 2020, maybe had like 1,000 subscribers, and then to where it is today.
I guess a couple things that come out of that. When you like, what was a lot of views? What was a lot of subscribers to at that point? Did you have a goal of like how many people you thought you could reach?
Now, I didn't really have a goal in mind. What I did have in mind though was a duration. So one of the things that I feel like that helps me in like business is sometimes like if there's no parameters to what we're trying to achieve, I feel like the goal is like kind of, it's abstract. So what I'll do is I'll say, okay, listen, I'm going to start this business and I'm going to commit to doing this like every single day or like every other day or whatever it is, whatever my time, permits for the course of the next 24 months. And then after 24 months, I think that's enough time for me to achieve something. If I've achieved something and I'm happy with it, then at that point I can decide whether or not I'm going to back off or continue. And so that was kind of like what I did was, I don't know where this is going to go. I've got no frame of reference, but I'm going to commit to YouTube for the next 24 months. And then it just exploded way more than I anticipated.
It's awesome. Well, your channel it's at Steve Ram. Is that right?
Yeah. Steve Ram.
Steve Ram. And it has you're very close to the 500,000 subscribers.
Yeah, it's been, and that's the thing with YouTube too, is like what you'll learn is, we could talk about this more, is it only takes one video. You'll be surprised, like you'll do one video that will trigger the algorithm. It'll get massive exposure. It'll bring in like, thousands, tens of thousands, even like over 100,000 subs in one video, just boom. Wow. And then you'll have other videos that do nothing. And so the growth, the problem is a lot of people do not experience triggering the algorithm. They don't give themselves enough time. They'll do like 5-10 videos and then they'll quit. But if they can get that one video, it literally just takes one video, they'll have boom, an explosion. But then afterwards, it's like, then it's almost like the withdrawal of not having it. So what I had recently, I had an explosion just like a couple months ago, and I went from like 300,000 to almost 500,000. And then now it's like stopped, and it stopped right before I hit the 500,000 mark. So I've got everyone telling me like, oh, you're right, 500,000. And I'm like, yeah, I've been for the last like 2 months. So
that's crazy. Yeah. Because now you're used to it. You're like, oh man, I'm capable of getting 100, 200,000 in one video. Like, what's wrong with me? Like I just made this really good video. Like, that's frustrating. Well,
yeah.
a lot of people do quit when that happens, I guess. I don't know. Like, is it a monetary goal? What have you reset your 24-month goal? Like, what do you do to keep moving forward in that?
Yeah. So I think like I just am constantly trying to focus on providing news for people. So now it's also too, one of the things is, and I've said this before, like when people start YouTube or real estate or really anything, is that you really have got to have like the fire, like I call it the fire, and it's like the elements that keep you going. And so for me, one of the passions that I have for YouTube is being able to provide people with helpful information, especially in a world where I feel like there's so many perspectives and opinions. And, I get into a lot of like political stuff. Like I talk about all the things you're not supposed to at the dinner table, like politics, religion, and money. Like that's my main things. And so I feel like somebody that can be trusted, that has accurate information, that's what drives me. So I cite I do like a book report. All my videos are cited. All the articles are linked, all the references, they're all right there. So what drives me is just consistently putting out good information.
I stalked your channel and stuff, and I think it's so interesting because I think some people would make justifications. Like when I started my lighting business, if I would have done the research and been like, okay, how many lighting companies are in DFW and how long have they been in business and what are their numbers? If I would have done all that research, there's no way in hell I would have started a lighting business because it would have been super intimidating. Like, there's no room for me, and all this stuff. And I think about what you're doing. It's like, wait, why news? Like there's so many other people that are doing news. There's literally like TV stations. There's all this stuff. So it's just cool that you did that and you didn't care that like, and you're not the guy too. You're not even creating the news. You're leveraging other assets. You're bringing them together. Like you said, you're doing a little book report. Did you hear that these guys said this and then these guys said this and here's the article and watch this little snippet of this video? It's just so fascinating. Like you you're like the king of leverage to me at this point. It's just just a really cool thing to see.
You know, what's funny too is that like I think a lot of people think of that just with YouTube in general, that it's like oversaturated. Like, you know, like, oh, I can't get in now. Like it's too late. Like I should have got in like 10 years ago, which I mean, for, you know, I guess that's true in some perspective, but the other is that if you know the stats on YouTube, it actually kind of feels a little bit more like a blue ocean, and it becomes more about just triggering the algorithm. Because I saw a stat that it was something like less than 1/3 of 1% of all of the content that is being consumed on YouTube, excuse me, I said it backwards. 90% of the content being consumed on YouTube comes from less than 1/3 of 1% of the content creators.
Wow.
So that means that like there is a small portion of creators that's basically making all the content. So that's being viewed. So a lot of people are trying, they're not getting a lot of success, but there's a small group. And if you can just make your way, push through, trigger the algorithm, you can become a part of that small group that's pretty much producing all the content on YouTube.
Well, similar to like what your mentor said to you is like, well, no one knows you. I believe, and I did not do this when I had my lighting company, but just based on my experience these last few years, building up my authority and doing all this social media stuff. If I had a lighting business now, I would have a YouTube channel. I'd be putting out content on social media and building authority in my local area. I think it's great advice that your mentor told you. And I don't think there's enough people like these small business owners that are understanding that. So let's say someone decides, you know what, I'm going to do this. I listened to Steve. I'm going to start making, I know you don't know the answer to like what triggers the algorithm. Otherwise you'd have 10 million views each video and all that stuff. But have you found, is there any consistency? Like, is it thumbnails? Is it descriptions? Is it titles? Like, have you found like videos that do better than others?
Yeah. And there's like and then there's a definitive answer to what's the most important thing for success on YouTube. Like hands down, anybody that knows it will tell you there's one thing that's way more important than anything else. And so the number one most important thing about having success on YouTube is your thumbnail and your title. Like that combo right there. There's nothing more important than that when it comes to like long form content on YouTube. So you've got to nail it's like your marketing. It's how you're getting people to click, your clickability. Like does the thumbnail leave people like pondering or wondering, or you know, like is it sparking some sort of emotion where it's like, oh dude, I've got to find out what's going on? And is the thumbnail something enticing, you know? So mastering a whole lot of it's like psychology, and because we say the algorithm, but really it's the audience. What is going to trigger the audience to get to click? And so that is the first thing, is getting them to click.
That's a great point. So, because I'm just thinking right now, I'm like, well, yeah, I know that hook, story, offer, you know, like that's the marketing thing, is you need a good hook. If you don't have the right hook, you're not going to catch anything. Like it's not attractive, you know? So, your thumbnails seem to all be pretty similar style. It's more, and you found obviously something that's working. And so you're probably more like whatever the description is. What are those 3 or 4 words that are really going to hook someone into clicking?
Yeah. And what's interesting too is understanding how people consume the content on YouTube. So, you know, I actually have talked to some pretty well-known real estate investors and stuff that took a look at my channel, and they were like, dude, like my eyes are burning. All of your thumbnails look exactly the same. And they're like, you're just switching out the text and the faces. And I was like, yeah, well, I was like, for some reason, this particular format that I have works. And here's the thing, is that most people, when they actually click on these videos, they're not going to my YouTube channel and seeing all these, you know, similar thumbnail layouts. They're actually getting it on their homepage. And that is a major way to trigger the algorithm. So what you want to do is, you post a video, it's going to end up on someone's homepage. So basically when someone opens the app on their phone, they're going to be given on their homepage an assortment of different videos that YouTube thinks they might be interested in. You're getting compared to those other videos. And if they say, oh, dude, what is this video right here that's coming out from Ryan Lee? They click on it because the thumbnail and the title got them more than the other ones. Then it's like, oh, people are interested in this. And so that's kind of what gets it going. And YouTube is, it's kind of like, I've heard it said, it's almost like your friend's little brother. Like you said, you going over to your friend's house, the little brother shows up and says like, hey, do you want a water? And then like you say like, yeah, sure. Okay, cool. Or then you go back to your friend's house the next day, and then they anticipate that you want a water, so they've got it ready. But then they also say, or do you want this cola? Do you want a water or a cola? So this is what YouTube's constantly doing. Every time you show up, they're saying, do you want what you had before? Do you want this? So it's constantly evaluating it. So eventually, your YouTube might look totally different than mine. Your homepage might have all this lighting stuff. Mine might have all of this news, politics, stuff. It's giving you what you want. And so they want to see what you want. And then once they figure out what your content is, they start presenting it to people over and over and over. So, that's kind of what the algorithm is doing. And it's showing up on people's homepages, not actually on your channel page.
Yeah, that's a great point. Because I know even me, I'm thinking, okay, and I don't do a lot of the stuff on YouTube. It's mostly our podcast, which is there, but we got some other videos, and I'm always like, well, let me mix it up, and I haven't got the home run video yet, but like you have the home run formula. So yeah, like you said, they're finding it in a one-off with 10 other videos, not, I've got 200 videos sitting here on one channel. That's a great reminder. So how much time are you putting into your channel? You're doing a post Monday through Friday? How often are you actually doing a video?
So it's kind of all over the place because it's kind of like a lot of times now I'll do like breaking news. So if there's something that came out, I'll just hop on live and I'll give a live update about what's going on. This took place. Sometimes I like pride myself on being one of the first ones. Sometimes I can even beat the news outlets if there's something foreign going on and like I'm watching the foreign news outlets. So I'll hop on live, but usually I'm probably doing about one a day. And then I'm just, it's mostly research. The recording and like the actual, production is a small portion of it, but I'm getting the thumbnails ready. I'm doing the research. I'm citing the sources, put it all together in like a Word document with bullet points. But so probably like a couple hours a day. I'm doing usually about one video a day. But it's all very flexible. Like I said, for me, like before with the 9 to 5, I didn't have freedom of time. With this, we can go on vacation. I can, and I'm very bad at vacationing. I think it's like, I don't know if it's a workaholic or entrepreneur thing. I get anxiety going on vacation because I'm constantly thinking about, man, what am I not doing in my business right now? I'm falling behind. So we've worked out a nice agreement, me and my wife, and that is when we go on vacation, especially if there's a time zone difference, it helps. I will wake up early before everybody else. I'll, prep like a video and have it go live, and then I'll do half of the day on vacation. But yeah, that's pretty much what we do.
I know. I think I haven't made this shirt yet, but it's going to say I suck at vacations, and I think every entrepreneur right here. Like I don't know why it's so hard, but it is. Okay, well, so you're putting in a decent amount of time. Financially, where do you make your money? Is it with the number of subscribers, the views per video? How do you actually get paid from YouTube?
Great question. Yeah, like a lot of people think that you're not going to make a ton of money until you're like huge, which is totally inaccurate. I've coached some people that they only had like 1,000 subscribers, but they're monetizing like crazy off of products, sponsorships, affiliate links. And when you take a look at some of the people that have really turned YouTube into a business, a lot of them are making most of their money from affiliate links. So, if you've got a video that you're doing on landscape lighting and you're doing a particular product that is, super, I don't know, like more efficient or more affordable or whatever than other products, and you ask them like, hey, do you got an affiliate link? Or maybe they're on Amazon. You can do an Amazon affiliate link, put it in your video, and then people click on it and you get paid a portion every time people click on that. But also, people don't know this, is that when they click on it, even if they don't buy the product, but they start shopping, anything they buy, you get a portion just for sending them to Amazon. So a lot of creators are making a ton of money off of affiliate links. And then, there's sponsorships. So the sponsors, want to shout out. And then there's also the Google AdSense pay for all the little commercials that run on your videos. So there's several different components of how you can get paid.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and I think I'm glad you mentioned that, because a lot of people are like, yeah, but I only know 20 people. How am I going to get, 500,000 people, 2 million people to follow me or whatever? But the internet's a beautiful thing, and it's worldwide.
Yeah, absolutely.
What have you learned about, and then, so we'll finish up here and then we'll move on to real estate because I got some things on there I want to ask you. But what have you learned about, I guess, building an audience? Is it questions that or comments that they're doing? Like, is there certain messaging that you've adjusted to over the years?
Yeah, no, I'd say like, so one of the things that has helped me a ton is, and I'm not sure if I thought that a lot of people knew about this, but I guess not. Like, because I've talked to a couple people recently and they had no idea, is that so Google is the #1 search engine in the world, and they actually own YouTube. And so they will actually tell you what is being searched in real time. And so all you got to do is go to Google and type in trends. And then you can go to Google Trends, and Google Trends will show you everything that is trending at this moment. And if you can catch a trend in YouTube, that is what will trigger the algorithm for your video. So right now, like you could go to Google Trends, type in, see what's trending. And if there's anything that relates to your niche, like at all, like, I don't know, let's say like, and so I'm in like the political area. Let's say that somebody's lighting in their landscape like caught fire or something, right? I'm trying to think of something that would like relate. That would be huge for you to create content on, because you could say like, did you know that this product da 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 da? Well, let me explain to you how this could be avoided and what products you could use, and then have all those affiliate links in there for products that they can use. These are all linked in the description below for you. And so, but that trending topic, you could catch that wave. If you can figure out some way to connect the dots on what it is that you are providing information and what's trending. So that is one of the biggest tools that I use for tapping into what people want to see. I think of it like two giant circles that overlap in the center. So one side is what you want to talk about. The other side is what the audience wants you to talk about. So it's figuring out how to find the overlap in between is how you can get more views.
That's gold. I think, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of trending stuff in the landscape lighting industry. But here's where I'll give a hint to people. There's a ton of stuff in the world. I mean, lighting solves a lot of problems around safety, around security. So if there's burglar issues, there's high crime, mental health. Holy cow! I guarantee there's trending stuff that has something to do with these major topics on Google. And like you said, like, what does that have to do with lighting? Nothing. It has this over here. You're gonna combine them and get that overlap. So that's great point. Great advice.
I wonder too if, right now in the news, there's like a big thing with potential cyber attacks coming. They're talking about power grids going down, electrical stuff going out. And so I don't know what's in the landscape lighting area, but maybe there's like some sort of products that are like, I don't know, solar powered or what. You probably know better than I do. That would be like, hey, if things go down, you still can use these resources to keep things lit, to keep, electricity going on. I don't know, but that's like a big thing right now. That's definitely trending. Is the FBI keeps coming out with these warnings, like it seems like every month now, about cyber attacks against infrastructure systems.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a spin on it for sure. Someone smarter than me will figure that out. But I think, with us, it's more, maybe it's a spin on like, because we don't like push solar lights. They're junky and they're not bright, and they have batteries and all this stuff. But if someone has solar on their house, then all of a sudden our systems are pretty important because they're low voltage. They cost hardly anything to run. You could easily run it off of solar power, right? So different than a solar light. So that's awesome. There's a freebie right there from Steve. You guys go check that out. Run in and do a video about that. Okay, so real quick, do you care if we pause? I want to give away some money. Are you good with that?
Let's do it.
We do a thing called gift card giveaway. So it's time to play, you guys. If you're here live, it's your chance to win free money. All you have to do is answer the question that's about to be asked. Let's play. Gift card giveaway. All right, guys. This is my favorite times. No offense, Steve. This is my favorite time because I just give away money. It's not a ton, but it's something. And it's fun to play games. So $50 to whoever answers this question correctly, and it's a good topic anyway. So according to Jan Moyer's book, who is like the goddess of outdoor lighting, I don't know if that's the official title, but she's amazing. Her book, The Landscape Lighting Book, the general rule in creating depth calls for which zone to be the darkest. And I'm not even going to tell you the zones, but there's 3 zones that if you're going to manipulate depth, She talks about there's 3 zones in any scene, and if you can tell me which one should be the darkest, then you win. So I see people put in numbers and letters, but you have to say what it's called. We got some, and I guess maybe what I'll do is zone closest to perspective view. Man, it's a good thing. It's a good thing we're doing this because you guys have some wrong answers. And again, I pulled this from the book. And by the way, guys, even if I'm wrong, I'm right because it's my show. So that's the only rule is it has to be the right answer that I think is correct. Oh crap, man. Zach's got like answers I don't even know what they are. Aphotic zone. Let's see if anyone's got this. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you it's here's multiple choice, you guys. It's either background, foreground, or midground. Because some of you guys are saying like 1 and A and B and stuff like that, 2 and 3s. I don't even know. But so the question again, the general rule in creating depth calls for which zone to be the darkest. It's either background, foreground, or midground. Again, we're going for darkest. Oh, Mr. Mike Long with the win. Midground. Congrats to the owner of LightQuest. Mike Long was just on the show not too long ago. Yeah, so guys, here's the deal. This is according to Jan. This is not according to me. I read it in the book today. It's the background is the brightest. The foreground is the second brightest. And the midground is the darkest. So there you go. I guess technically, yeah, it was a good second guess. You could have just guessed all 3 and maybe you'd have been the first one. So hopefully everyone agrees with that. If not, call Jan. Don't talk to me about that. So I think it's cool. And if you guys want to learn more about that, obviously she's got the book, which is like, I still don't even know how she wrote this book. It's not even a book. It's a textbook. But you can go to illieedu.org and they talk about that and way more. So some of you obviously need to go to Illy because you got it wrong. So what's up now? All right. Yeah, sometimes we make people feel bad, Steve. I'm sorry. It's just, try to offend the audience. In all fairness, I had to look it up in the book. Okay. And I did cheat. Okay. So let's go back to and congrats, Mike. We will send you a gift card from Landscape Lighting Secrets. But it's a gift card to cash. So you can buy whatever you want. You can go buy some Emery Allen bulbs or whatever. I don't care. All right. So, Steve, this has been awesome. I mean, I feel like we could kind of keep going on YouTube, but I do want to be conscious of your time, and I want to ask you about real estate. And the reason where I wanted to have you on is because, like I said, like I'm always, it's so cool. There's lots of different ways to make money in the world. Like you can always make money, but I also think like what you're doing is like fulfilling. And I think when you balance like money and fulfillment, that's happiness. You're getting your time freedom, but you're actually enjoying what you do. You're helping people get news faster, getting better sources, giving them comparisons. Like you're really found a passion that like continues to drive you. So that's really cool. The other thing that you got into and you mentioned was real estate. I feel like every wealthy person alive has real estate. And so I'm like, what am I missing? I mean, I have some real estate, but it's not much. How did you get into real estate?
Yeah, great question. So for me, for real estate, it was sort of funny. Like I never originally planned to get into it. And it's actually thanks to my mom by accident. So what ended up happening was when I was 17, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was 17 years old. I think I was getting close to graduation, and I was in my room playing video games. And I remember I was playing in the middle of like a racing game. My mom comes in and she says, "Hey, you're going to be graduating soon and you're going to need to learn about money and stuff. So I got this book. I recommend you read it. I think it's going to be really good for you." And I was like, okay, cool. So she hands me the book. She walks out. I look at the book and then I take it and I like chuck it into like a box that's in the top of my closet and I keep playing my video games. So then I graduate from high school. I go to community college. I go through the Great Recession. I lose my job. I lose my money. I lose everything. Absolutely just beat up by life. After I get married to my wife, that's when I lost everything. And so then like now I'm married and I can't provide, just the lowest place in my life. And then I have to move into the back bedroom in my parents' house, and we're there for a year before I can finally get a job. So I finally get a job, finally muster up enough money to buy my own place. And so we buy this place, and we're unpacking boxes. And then lo and behold, 10 years later, so now I think I'm like 27 now. I open this box and I pull out the book, and it's the book my mom gave me when she said, I think you should read this book to learn about money. And after like the spanking I had received over the last decade, I was like, all right, I think it's time for me to read this book. So I crack it open and just a light bulb goes off in my head. There was things in the book that I had never heard of that just literally changed my life. And so that book for me was Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And so in there, he emphasized a lot, some things about real estate, business, stocks. These are some of the vehicles by which people use to generate massive amounts of wealth. You can get a successful business. You can invest in real estate. So real estate really resonated with me. And I was like, dude, I have got to get into this. So that is kind of how I got into the path of real estate. And just like everybody, I started watching all the HGTV shows. Like my favorite was Flip and Flop with Tarek and Christina. And I started getting into all that stuff. And then but for me, it was really hard to pull the trigger because I did it on my own. I wasted so much time, like in looking back in hindsight. First thing I should have did was probably got connected with a community, got around other people who knew what they were doing. It would have saved me so much time, but I did it the long, hard way, which was the wrong way, dude. Like I just wasted so much time, but finally got into it and started flipping houses and investing. But yeah, for me too, what really pushed me into it, I remember it. I was in a meeting at my work when I finally knew, like, okay, I can't do this anymore. We have these meetings, these check-in meetings, and they honor people when they hit certain milestones. And I was just like, dude, this job is like, this is good, but it's not what I want. And then all of a sudden they said like, hey, like we want to commemorate or celebrate this guy in accounting. We'll just say his name is Isaac. Isaac, we want to celebrate him. He's been here with the company for 15 years. And they were like, woo, yeah. And like something in my heart just sank. I was like, dude, and I think I had been at the company like coming up on like 10 years. Like I had been like, in that field. And I was just like, man, what is like, I can't, do this anymore. And then like he got up there, they gave him like a little plastic trophy. And he was like, and he was actually a immigrant from Africa. And so he was super thankful, like, no, I'm not knocking it, that's some people, that's their passion. But for me, it just wasn't it. And he got up there, he got the little trophy and he was like, I just want to say thank you. I love this company. I've been here 15 years. I'm looking forward to giving another 15 years of my life. Thank you so much. And then like he went, and I just thought like, man, like I just can't do this anymore. And so that was like one of the moments I remember very clearly where it was like, dude, I just can't be Isaac. And again, not knocking him, that's the thing for some people. But for me, I was like, there has got to be another vehicle. There's got to be another way. I don't like not having freedom of time. I've got 2 small kids. I want to spend as much time with them as I can. I want to be able to go on vacations with my wife while we're young. I want to be able to donate more to my church and charitable contributions and things like that. I've got to do something else. I've got to find another way. And so that's when, it was all coming together. And so I think it was a combination of getting exposure to the real estate stuff through the books and the learning, but then also just the push to go and do more. And now I'm joining all the communities. I'm like I'm getting more coaching now that I know what I'm doing than when I did before. And it's just excelling, going so much further. And I feel like that was the major push that got me into it.
Yeah, man, a lot to digest there. What you said at the end is like, again, like, especially now, maybe coaching was bigger before, but we didn't know about it because the internet and all this other stuff. But, and anyone who's ever had a coach or been part of a successful program, even when they graduate or leave one, they're like leveling up. They're always looking for the next one because they understand this concept of flying versus walking and the vehicles that you're talking about, so that's huge. So you get started. Well, I guess, I don't know. So right now you still do, you flip houses, you've got rentals, you've got commercial real estate that you invest in. If someone was just like getting started, based on what you know and your experience, where would you recommend they get started after they read Rich Dad Poor Dad, of course?
Yeah.
Then where do they get started?
Then I'd say like, so, I think like it would almost be good to like talk to people, because then the other thing too is like there's so many people that they want to get started, and then they've got there's so many coaches and things like that, and there's like these mental blocks. So first of all, we got to get past our mental blocks, our disbeliefs, and I think that we all go through that. Is, we got to figure out how many mental blocks do we actually have? Because for me, like I thought I can't do real estate because I don't have a whole lot of money. And in reality, you found out like money was not even the biggest issue. Like there's other issues that are obstacles. Money is not a major issue when it comes to real estate. You got to figure out like, oh, it's not for me. I've literally had people tell me like, I want to get into real estate, but I feel like that's just not in the cards for me. Like I've never been exposed to that. I was like, well, I never was either. Like, you just got to put yourself, you got to jump. You got to, at some point, you've got to like, what does Tony Robbins say? You got to burn the ships. The story of those sailors that went across the ocean, and then the crew was starting to get dismayed, and they were like, we're not going to make it. We got to go back. And the captain was like, no, we're taking the island. They get to the island, and the crew is just like, they're ready to do mutiny. They're ready to go back in the morning. And then like the next morning they wake up, and the captain burned all the ships and they're sunk. And he's like, listen, he was like, we're either taking this island or we're going to die trying, but we are not going back. And I feel like that's like the point, you've got to be like, okay, like we're going all in, like I'm not stopping. So like, I feel like if someone's going to do it, they've just got to, they're like, hey dude, we're going for it. And so I think like, if somebody wants to do it, I forgot what I was even talking about. I'm just rambling.
Well,
I got it.
I love that you went there actually, because getting started, it starts as dabbling. Most people, like, let's say if you're listening to this, watching this, you're like, I already have a lighting business at a certain level of success. Maybe it's not where you want it to be, but you're like, yeah, I should start thinking of like passive income. I'm going to continue to invest in my business, but I want to build this passive income. I heard this guy, Steve, I'm going to do this thing. And then they try it and they dabble and it doesn't work quite right. That goes back to burn the boats. Like you meet some resistance and you're like, that's too hard. I'm just going to stick to my lighting business. And that concept of burn the boats is going to help you like work through that and figure out like, no, if you had to make this work, if this was your future, then what would you do? And I think that those false beliefs that you're talking about, well, I don't have any experience with that, or like, I don't have enough money for that. There's a lot of things that will keep you from that. Yet, I mean, I don't know what the percentage is, but the majority of people that are in real estate at some point weren't in real estate,
Yeah.
It was new for them too. And they didn't have money and now they do. So I guess you were saying like, I'm trying to figure out where someone should consider. Okay. And like you said, I think if they're going to do it, they go find someone who resonates with them, who can coach them. And there's people that coach on flipping. There's people that coach on rentals. There's commercial, but I guess, is there one category that you like over another?
I think that is definitely going to be your investor identity is what I've heard it called. So, are you somebody that is interested in cash flow, which essentially is like monthly checks coming in? Or are you somebody that's interested in a pile of cash? Or are you somebody that's interested in tax write-offs? Because it's funny. I have a buddy of mine that I went to high school with. He made it to the NFL. He played for the Chargers and stuff. And like, I remember when I first started getting into real estate, I was like, hey, bro, do you want to put some of that money to work? And he was like, dude, I don't really need any more money. He was like, I'm set. But he wanted tax write-offs. So there are people that have got money, but they're trying to avoid taxes. Or there's ones that want cash flow. Or there's some people that like, no, I need money now. So depending on your situation, your lifestyle, your preferences, you might want to get into wholesaling real estate. You might want to get into single family residential flipping or rentals, commercial. So it really depends on the individual. But if I'd say probably for most people where they start is wholesaling, because wholesaling is a low barrier to entry. It's basically finding deals. And if you can find deals, you will always make money. And it's all about networking. Right now, like I'm flipping, like I usually flip like several houses at a time. And all of my deals that I find, I don't find them. Someone else does. So people find deals below market. They send them my way. And then I do the deal and they get finder's fees. Actually, like one of the wholesalers that the house I just bought like a couple of weeks ago here in Houston, great house. He wholesaled it to me and he made $100,000 on the wholesale. So I was like, dude, like, so basically like he got it. He found somebody that had a distressed house. The family had it. They sold it to him. It's a disaster, right? Sold it to him for $400,000. He turned to me and said, Steve, will you buy it for $500,000 and flip it? It could be worth $850,000. And I was like, I'll take that deal all day long. You know, of course I do my due diligence and stuff. So like, you know, I assessed how much it needs in repairs and this and that. And those are the real numbers. So he sold it to me for $500,000. I'm happy because I've got so much meat on the bone, but he made $100,000. Now that's not typical in a wholesale deal, but that's where most people start because he literally needed no money to do that. All he had to do was utilize his time and his resources that he had that weren't money to figure out how to find a deal. And if you can find a deal, you will always make money.
That's so cool. So the way I understand it is he was able to wholesale it to you in the same time frame that he was buying it. So it didn't really cost him money because he was able to flip it to you in that same time frame.
Yeah. So actually he sold me like the contract to buy it. So all he did was he had a contract between him and the seller saying, I'll sell it to you for 400. Then he got a separate contract that says, I'm going to sell it to Steve for 500. So at closing at the title company, they just did them simultaneously. So he literally didn't have to bring any money to the table, but he walked away with a check for $100,000.
That's awesome, man. So when you've done wholesale in the past, what size, like, is there a percentage that you're trying to make or a dollar value on the deal, or how do you determine if you're going to do it?
Yeah, usually the deals determine like the wholesale like amounts. So there's like several different rules of thumb in like real estate flipping. One of them is like the 70% rule. Like investors try not to have more money in the deal than 70%. That's like a magic number because of the fees and the commissions and this and that. So usually the deal will determine how much potential there is. So he even said, he was like, dude, this is the first time I've hit this much on a wholesale deal. Usually the wholesale deals, like you'll make 5, 10, 15, sometimes people make 20, 30, but there was so much space on this one. He went for 100,000. And I wasn't supposed to know. Usually they don't divulge this to the flipper. Yeah. And so like, can I
get a deal? Can I get like 30 grand back or something?
Yeah. Yeah. So he was actually kind of upset it happened. What happened was the title company sent me the closing documents, and they sent his to me on mistake.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then I messaged him because he was CC'd on it. So he saw it and I messaged him and I was like, congrats, bro. And he was like, I'm so glad you said that and not something else.
I know. I could see that being a problem, man. I'm surprised the title company did that. That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, but I was happy with it. But I would say, yeah, people could start with wholesaling, finding deals. And again, like, hey, if anybody on here has access to deals, you know, I've actually recently connected with a attorney, like a real estate attorney that is like helping title companies. And I'm like, dude, send your deals my way. Cause he's like, I know of foreclosures. I know of like probate issues. I know of like families tearing apart. Like, you know, it's just very sad. He's like, but they just want to walk away from things and they just want to, you know, have peace and just be able to, you know, just be done with it in many cases. And he said, and if that's the case, you know, they're looking for somebody to step in and, you know, take over and buy things at a discount. If there's people on your show that have those resources, man, hit me up. Steve Ram 3 on Instagram.
Love it. Steve Ram 3 on Instagram. So I guess that's the easiest one because you don't technically need money. Let's say someone, you know, lands a couple of wholesale deals or whatever. you mentioned money's not an issue. Is that because they can wholesale, or is it because you figured out ways to get their first couple loans on certain deals?
That also, yeah. So like, a lot of people think like, oh, I don't. So the financing, a lot of the opportunities for financing in real estate are with flipping and investing. There's a lot of creative financing strategies that you can use where you don't have to use any of your own money. So they call it like OPM, other people's money. You can utilize those strategies for flipping and all these other things. So actually, several of the flips I'm doing right now, there's not a penny of my own money in it. And it's sort of backwards, because when you first start, you're like, hey, can somebody lend me some money so I can get going? Because I don't, and like people are like, no, like I'm not lending you my money. And then once you get going, once you have deals, now it's like people are like knocking on your door, like, hey, can you invest this for me? And so now it's like
money. Yeah.
That's
awesome.
So like
that would have been nice a few years ago when I actually like needed it, but you're still leveraging someone else's assets. So I love it, man. Yeah.
And I love it because it's an opportunity to give somebody else a return while I'm making a profit as well. So, and what's great is like, there's friends I know, there's people from church, there's, people that are, and to me, it's very humbling that somebody would trust me with their finances, like sums of money. So I try to do my due diligence to make sure that everything is correct, it's accurate, it's safe. We draw up contracts, this and that. And then, we go forward with the deal. But a lot of these deals that I'm doing right now, there's several at a time, not even a penny of it is my money. So there's a lot of strategies that can be used for bringing other people in.
That's awesome, man. I want to be you when I grow up. So, and you don't have anything. It's like you don't even have anything to sell right now, which is so awesome. And I appreciate you coming on here and just being vulnerable and sharing all this awesome stuff. I'm literally taking notes as we're going and stuff. At some point, you probably will have like your own coaching program, courses, things like that. So I want to give people the opportunity just to stay engaged with you. If you want to just share your YouTube channel, your Instagram again, how so that people can stay with you and stay connected with you.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate being on too. Like, this is awesome. So if people want to get a hold of me, Instagram is the best. Instagram, SteveRam3. And there's like a lot of impersonators like on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram. It's crazy. So make sure it's SteveRam3, all one word. I got a TikTok there too. And then if they want to just stay connected for news, like breaking news and stuff, my channel, Steve Ram. And then there's like a newsletter. But as you mentioned, I am planning on doing coaching, but it's in the works right now. So that's going to be coming, I think, maybe the middle of the year. I'll start releasing some stuff for people that are interested in growing their social media presence, and then also real estate investing too.
I love it, man. Sign me up, put me on the wait list. I love what you're doing, man. It's so cool. You shared a lot of really cool, helpful tips to help people make more profit in their business today, but also just an inspiration. So I love being around people that are doing big things. And if I can be, if you could be in my circle and I could level up to your level, that would be a good thing. So thanks again for being on here, man. Guys, make sure to connect with Steve Ram on YouTube, on YouTube anyway, and then SteveRam3. Watch out for those impersonators.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Again.
Yeah, no worries. All right, guys, take it easy. Have an awesome week. Get your business making lots of money. Leverage your time. Get in the right vehicle so that you have extra money to give it to Steve to invest for you. See you guys.